She says, I can't get a hold of your mother. You used to call her 10, 20, 80 times a day. And the girl said to her mom, I mean, you must not be reading your emails, but I sent you an email. You're out of my life now. I'll see you in the afterworld. Apparently, her mother had a stroke. Boom, boom. And the girl hung up the phone, came back to I didn't know any of this till after the seminar. And at that time, we were still, it was at the end of my last mentor program where you filled out papers. You know, you sent me reports every week. I was so happy I didn't know whether to shit or go blind. Mother didn't die. And to this day, I got in fact, I haven't got a Christmas card from her yet. I'll get a Christmas card, no doubt. She hasn't talked to her mom because her mom is the reason, just as in your case, some of your cases. And I realize the ethnicity of certain Asian groups is to take care of your parents. I know all that, but nobody said it was right just because you've done it 10,000 years. And there's sacrifices that have to be made. Having been to India and having lived there 3.5, 4 years, when Sally and I saw that for the first time with our own eyes, Sally was worried the guy was straining himself. I didn't worry about any of that. And I said, how can you get people to work for nothing and do that? And I've seen bigger loads than this, bigger. How's this possible? Because that's his way. I mean, it's the only way he's going to get to his goals, is, you know. But that's the baggage you were left with. And that's why it's easier to have kids, train kids, because they don't have as much baggage, because their parents didn't have enough time to fuck them up. Now, when the DNA was discovered in the early 50s by two guys that got Nobel Prizes for that, and both of them just passed away in the last 4 or 5 or 6 years. They said then, and they say now, that there is 0 chance that this was random. No fucking way was the DNA strand random. In other words, by natural selection, Darwin kind of evolution. So if there's no chance whatsoever that this is random, how the fuck did it happen? Well, this is not a religious seminar, but I'll leave you to your own devices. But I figured this out early. Of course, I'm a wannabe altar boy. I wanted to be an altar boy, and I wanted to be a priest. And either it was a great activist evolution or revolution that I didn't become a priest, because I would have been a fucking pope, no question. It was just a big scandal that was announced 2 days ago where they're putting cardinals and people in jail for the first time for fraud, a 2.5-year investigation and lawsuit. The fines are minimal, 10 or 20,000 euros or whatever. But the Pope is more interested in financial scandals. His next, supposedly, I have connections in the Vatican, is the fact that he's going to go after the biggest sexual deviants. And there's a shitload of them there, a shitload. Surround yourself with the people who push you to do and be better. No drama, no negativity, just higher goals. Everybody in this room has still got toxic parents. Most of you still associated with them. I told you what to do. So how sincere or how real was your goals to create generational wealth? Later on this month, we're going to add 7 to the Hall of Fame. I took it seriously. I told you at the beginning, Sally and I moved here to get away from my family, not because they were not the right family, but they weren't right for me creating generational wealth. You know how many weddings and etc., birthday parties Mexican Americans have? Too many. So I moved here. Sally and I didn't talk to our mothers respectively for 7 and 8 years. 7 years me, 8 years Sally. Didn't talk to her mother. You know how hard it is for a daughter not to talk to a mother for 8 fucking years? My mother told me when I was young, a son's a son until he takes a wife, a daughter's a daughter the rest of her life. Now, I didn't know what that meant then. I certainly know what it means now. We had a girl here, was in the casino business about 2 or 3 years ago. She sat right there. And I didn't know this till after the seminar. And she said how toxic her mother was, blah, 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 blah. And then she's rolling up healthcare now, successful. And she bumped into Josh Kim at the Bellagio Hotel, the employees entrance, because she worked there. And she told Josh, who still looks 15, this is for employees and for penthouse owners. And he said, really? Well, I own penthouse 3A, or I forget which one. And she was dumbfounded. And she said, well, how is that? I mean, I know you can't be 15. No, he says, at that time, I think it was 20. And so they went to have a coffee. And I personally think he was hustling her, but anyway, they went to have a good-looking girl. I have a coffee, and then a year later, she comes to the seminar. So now she's in the seminar. Seminar's over, and I didn't realize, but Kim had come to get her for a phone call, her mother. She says, I can't get a hold of your mother. Used to call her 10, 20, 80 times a day. And the girl said to her mom, I mean, you must not be reading your emails, but I sent you an email. You're out of my life now. I'll see you in the afterworld. Apparently, her mother had a stroke. Boom, boom. And the girl hung up the phone, came back to I didn't know any of this till after the seminar. And at that time, we were still, it was at the end of my last mentor program where you filled out papers. You know, you sent me reports every week. I was so happy, I didn't know whether to shit or go blind. Mother didn't die. And to this day, I got in fact, I haven't got a Christmas card from her yet. I'll get a Christmas card, no doubt. She hasn't talked to her mom because her mom is the reason, just as in your case, some of your cases. And I realize the ethnicity of certain Asian groups is to take care of your parent. I know all that, but nobody said it was right just because you've done it 10,000 years. And there's sacrifices that have to be made. We're looking for strength, suffering, and then redemption. Everybody that's ever come through the seminar needs redemption. Now, these are some of the guys. I could list the gals, but I haven't. Carnegie, Roosevelt, Hitler, Churchill, Napoleon, Tesla, and me. And I said yesterday, I believe, that there's been somebody that preceded me that had an American and a UK passport that went into Parliament. His name is Winston Churchill. Do you think any of those people thought or cared what anybody thought about them? Now, when I first was introduced to the internet by Brian QLA Rose, I was asked, this was 2014, Easter 2014, that who did could I relate to the most? And I said Freud, Patton, and Jack Welch. I still say that today. I never met Jack. I was at a deal when I'm now, I regret, and remember, regret's a bitch, that I didn't go up and talk to Jack. But anyway, I didn't. I didn't know Freud, but a psychiatrist that I knew until he died studied with Anna Freud, which is Freud's daughter, who is a well-known psychiatrist. And I sure as hell didn't know General Patton. But I revere those three guys. Now, I already said what the fourth door was, commercial real estate. Yeah.
What is going to be the timeline approximately till it comes?
I don't know that. I'm great at calling things. I was a little lucky when I called negative oil. But if you knew the oil business like I do, there's 1,000 guys that understand the business better than I do. Not one person opened their fucking mouth. Having done business with the Middle Eastern countries, which at one time or another, they've all lied about how much oil they're producing, how much oil they're not producing. They've all lied at one time or another about how much oil is in the ground, in reserves, okay? You're gonna see a chart in a minute that shows that the United States of America is now the leading oil producer on the planet, 21 million barrels a day. I used to know Khashoggi, not the one that they chopped up in the Turkish embassy. That was his nephew, Khashoggi, who used to be the president of OPEC, which allegedly is the ruling body for the oil industry. Well, 2 or 3 of the main countries, like Russia, for example, aren't a member of OPEC. I've been to Cushing, Oklahoma, where the wet barrels dry barrels turn into wet barrels. And all these people that are flapping their lips on CNBC, et cetera, don't know cock. And I said I wouldn't be surprised if it went negative. And I think I said, I mentioned $24 negative, $20 to $24 negative. I didn't think it'd go to $37 negative. But I'm the only swinging dick on this planet that knew we were going to have negative over here. There's a reason why the 3 largest sovereign funds on the planet come to me for advice. And commercial real estate. There must be a million people that know commercial real estate. They whisper it though. Now, if I had a big following like Tony Robbins or some of these guys that have, millions, or Elon Musk even. If Donald Trump he's got a lot of that empty fucking real estate in Manhattan himself. If Donald Trump, in his either infinite stupidity or infinite wisdom, said what I've told you today about commercial real estate, they'd close the stock exchange down for the panic selling. But nobody's going to say it because everybody's too afraid. You had your hand up? Somebody? Yes, sir, in the back.
Speaking of commercial real estate, I met with the CFO last Friday. He's
who CFO of what?
Former large public company.
Okay.
So he showed me shopping center that is selling that he is advising the deal. So they're selling at a 40% discount to 2080 values. So I'm not sure if the real estate investment trust is doing a redemption fire sale.
It's going to go to zero. You understand that? With your UCLA degree, we have guys doing deals right now for $1, €1, £1. I told you when you were at the seminar, didn't I? You ain't seen nothing yet. If they're doing it at a 40% discount, it needs to be bought at a 90% discount. I'm just guessing, and my guess is better than most studies. Coincidentally, that's the amount of equity still left in the deal, which means they got some bullshit justification. You guys don't know hard times. And I'm maybe the only one old enough to have had parents that lived through the Depression. Anybody's parents lived through the Depression? No. Remember that, I don't use it anymore, but remember that 300-foot tsunami thing that takes out New York City that I used to have on my YouTube? It's best for us, best time for us. But that's the fourth door. And now, considering I've been so accurate, you'd think more people would listen to me. But the reason they don't listen to me is because to give me credence would mean most of the businesses right now should just turn the key. Turn to cash, like Sally and I have been in cash a long, long time, and run like thieves in the night. It's like when Sally and I spent a good deal of time. Well, I spent a lot of time in the Middle East because when I was partners with the third largest sovereign fund, Kuwait, and Sally and I spent time in Israel. And when you talk to these people, I'm not saying it was just a matter of time before this Gaza thing would happen, but it's just a matter of time. But they've been fighting 2,000 fucking years. So that's not a good deal. And it's certainly not the QLA model, and you haven't learned a goddamn thing. But it's coming. Yes, sir.
For the businesses that require a decent amount of real estate to be able to operate in, do you still recommend?
No, you don't. You skip those. And you come back to them when you've got money. Remember, I use Andreas Milner, when I say a typical German Nazi, I'm not being derogatory. If they had gotten Hitler out of bed at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we'd be speaking fucking German here today. First deal, 700 to 1,200,000. Second deal, 1.2 to 1.8. And by the time you got 30, 40 deals like he does, you got 70 to 100 million, 70 million in his pocket. And there's nobody in this fucking room that's got anywhere near that. The closest one is Tremaine. And he's kind of, I get to beat him. Full disclosure, I'm his chairman. But he, for whatever reason, he kind of followed QLA, not 100%, but he followed it up because he's Canadian. The Canadians are all thick as shit. So, he was able to take advantage of it, just like I did back in the day. God bless you. Allah be with you. Now, if there weren't enough problems in the world, every 2 or 3 years, they come up with something like this. 48,000-year-old virus found in Siberian ice, snow. No cure for it. Now, see, I bet you nobody in this room even knows it. Anybody? Of course not. Oh, yeah, you do, but anyway. How is it you don't know? Remember those 5 things I told you to read when you left here. Nobody even remembers them, let alone reads them. Why? Oh, that's TK. God love him. $348 million. I'm going to end on this. No, turn it over to my mentee colleague. Full disclosure, I'm his chairman as well. But guys, even in Manchester, you can do this. Since you were here, when were you here? Oh, it was okay. A little more than a year. I've taken, and I'm getting out of the chairman business, but I took this guy on, a doctor, and he's rolling up healthcare in Manchester. Methodical. If there's a hiccup in the sentence, he hiccups. And guess what? I don't have to tell you the rest, do I? Okay, any questions on anything? Yes, sir.
What are the 5 things we should read?
What are the
5 things we should read?
Now you want to know. Does anybody remember any of them? What? No, fuck Amazon where it breathes. I know. Okay. Wall Street Journal, the Financial Times, the quarterly NATO reports on what's the status of the world, both economically and blah, blah, blah. The Robb Report, and I suggested that you all subscribe to that. Sally and I have been to a couple of Robb Report, let me digress a second, events, one of which was at Wyoming thing that I mentioned last night, and the other one was just Boca Raton, where Sally got to drive Formula One race cars. And the guys that go there are presumably wealthy, and I told the president of Robb Report, I used to buy year subscriptions in the Robb Report back in the 90s for 2 or 3 years, and I never got a thank you note. He says, no way. I said, yes way. Well, I still haven't got a fucking thank you note, and that was 5 weeks ago, but because it changed your mindset, because as opposed you're looking at like a lot of guys buy whatever that Mercedes is. What's a fancy Mercedes, supposedly? No. Yeah. That's dog shit. I wouldn't have my fucking caddy driving that thing. That's why I haven't had a Rolls Royce since I'm 25 years old that I couldn't afford. And so backing up, I should have cut a deal with Rolls-Royce. I should have cut a deal with Rob Report in writing. I should have cut a deal. I should have got a real estate broker's license, both in the UK and the US. So I could have gotten fees for all this shit that you kids have done. But I didn't, okay? So it's not a big regret of mine. And the last thing I said that Scientific American, that was the fifth. But nobody reads them, and Scientific American is boring. Fuck, I mean, no wonder I didn't do well in the sciences. But the report, it's a year old now. They should be coming out with another one this month. The United Nations said that it would take us 3,700 years if we stop, all the things that the greenies say to stop doing, all the things, the Greenpeace. If we stop today, January 1, it's coming January 1, it would take us over 3,700 years to end pollution. 3,700 years to end pollution. And the last university I spoke at, one of the last universities, I asked some of the kids, if you knew it was going to take over 3,000 years, fuck that, we wouldn't be marching around embassies. That's somebody else's problem. But they make it, they want you to believe that we're going to solve this shit overnight.